What is up, guys? It's Sundial from Inner Alchemy, and welcome to episode 19. We're on episode 19 now, and today we're discussing all the symbolism behind behind Purim and the blood moon and the attack on Iran and Greater Israel and all of that stuff. You know, basically it's like a geopolitical occult update. And I have here today I don't know what to even call you anymore. Well, my fiance, soulmate, twin flame, me in a male body. Hey baby, Dominick Faircloth. How you doing, baby? How you
Good, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Dom has been decoding furiously, like he always does. And he was even decoding right up until we pressed record. So if you're new here, Dom is basically a little bit of a Gematria nerd. And yeah, he basically decodes all the events that are going on and looks at the deeper symbolism behind the staged rituals that are basically playing out on the world stage, all the different sides. Do you want to let me you can explain it in your own words, actually, baby, because I'm probably not doing it as much justice. You're obviously the expert here, or more expert than me anyway. I'm a complete novice with Gematria. Yeah, let us know what Gematria is. Why do we need to know Gematria, and what's the purpose of it?
Yeah, so Gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. It comes from Jewish mysticism, and it's basically how the occult, the predatory class that's in power now, script and orchestrate all the rituals, psyops, wars, fake deaths of celebrities and politicians and stuff like that. And they operate basically because in holy books, same with the Bible too, they believe that God created the world with the spoken word, right, into language and out of nothing. And so there was a song too called "Murder by Numbers" by the group called The Police in 1983. They said, "Killing is as simple as 1, 2, 3." There's also a Slipknot song called The Killing Numbers. I can't remember exactly. I have to look that up.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it basically like A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. That's one cipher all the way to Z is 26. Then there's a reverse cipher where Z is 1, back to A is a 26 number. And there's a few others too. But they operate by the four main ones. And you only really need the four main ciphers to decode most of the rituals that they use. So, for example, our topic today now is like this Israeli, United States, Iran war conflict. So if you add up all those the letters in the words Israel, United States, Zionism, Purim, Iran and stuff, they all equal 77.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Some other 77 we're familiar with, for example, too, this is a good dead giveaway. So if you spell out September 11th, 77, World Trade Center, 77, Order from Chaos, which is the Jesuits' motto from how they operate. They create the problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. Their Order out of Chaos slogan equals 77, Crisis 77, Plandemic 77. What else? Oh, the best one too was the Pentagon. Let me look at this one real quick. So you have Flight 77 hits the 77-foot tall Pentagon, which lies on the 77th meridian west, 77 minutes after the plane allegedly took off. Still no footage of this happening, of course, either. So it's a psyop. False flag attack, as we know, which led to the invasion of Iraq and all this, and it's all synced up. It's just disgustingly sadistic and just ritual mockery. This is what they do.
Yeah,
and it's it's like the code to the Matrix too. Once you see it, like you could just see through news headlines. They'll put certain dates, times when they publish things, certain keywords, and it just exposes who's behind it. It's like a master criminal putting their thumbprint on the crime.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting as well with 77, because when I was also doing a little bit of research for this episode, the number 77 was coming up a lot. And for me, 77 is actually my current angel number. So I was trying to find out, like, what's the difference between, you know, the kind of numerology that involves angel numbers and basically decoding your date of birth and your name, and Gematria. Because I think when we did Gematria decodes in previous podcasts, I think there was some confusion amongst people in the audience who didn't really understand that they're not the same system. So basically, guys, if you're 77 in basically Chaldean numerology, is different. It's not about yes, there are letters that are basically given a number attached to them, but each number has basically like a qualitative vibrational frequency. So 77 in Chaldean numerology means like it's like a message from your guides that you're doing really well and to keep going. But Gematria seems to be a different system. But interestingly enough, also from a similar part of the world, because, you know, I had no idea about Chaldean numerology until I started seeing angel numbers around, you know, I've talked about this many years over my channel. I started seeing 69 and then 1111 and 2222, and so started looking it up and researching a little bit more. But I didn't know that it actually originated from the Chaldees, which is basically ancient modern day Iraq, so what's now modern day Iraq. So it basically links back to ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Babylon, basically the land of Ishtar. So I didn't know that there was that connection there. But I just find it interesting that you've been studying Gematria in parallel, which is, you know, it's not the same system, but they're from a similar part of the world. So, and there's obviously a lot of crossover between ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians, and ancient Israelites. So I find it interesting. But yeah, so do you want to just have the floor and you know, share some of your decodes? And then I can kind of chime in with bits and pieces or ask you questions.
Yeah, sure. So for a lot of people who might not know some of the history of Iran is modern day Persia. And this Purim, this Jewish holiday that's supposed to be very joyous and a happy time, is a holiday with the Jews celebrating the salvation of the Jewish people in ancient Persia in a plot from a group called Haman, right? Or was it a group? I don't know, but yeah. Haman.
I think the leader of the group was called Haman. I think that's what it is.
That's one letter away from Hamas.
Yeah.
Which we also know is orchestrated and set up by themselves, so controlled opposition. And so it's the same thing. They just set up all these things. That's how they're carrying out these prophecies, right? It's like it's really easy to predict and prophesize prophecies and stuff when it's like you wrote the book that you're playing out. Yeah. So you just... Yeah, powerful, and you're really not. But anyway, so yeah, the group Haman was supposed to destroy the Jews, but it's told in the book of Esther.
Yeah,
I don't really know too much about that book, but
so do you want me to chime in a little bit?
Sure.
So Esther was basically a Jewish queen. She married the king, and she hid her Jewish faith at first. And then she became aware of a plot. It was a particular bloodline in ancient Persia who were planning to genocide the Jews. And I think Haman was the leader. I think somebody had begged her to advocate for the Jewish people to the king. And she was like, oh, but I don't want the king to know that I'm Jewish. So eventually, I think she did pluck up the courage to go and speak to her husband and say, hey, you got to help the Jewish people. They're going to be wiped out and you have to do it because I'm Jewish. And so then it was basically like a reversal. So this is why Purim basically represents a reversal against the enemies of Israel, or the children of Israel, where, you know, people who are coming to genocide them instead end up getting genocided. So it's basically the celebration of them vanquishing their enemies, and they basically ended up genociding, with the help of this king, that group of people instead of being genocided themselves. So every year they have like these little ears that they eat. They eat these little parcels that are supposed to be the ears of the leader of the guy, and it's a little bit like weird blood sacrifice symbolism kind of going on there.
Very, very weird and disgusting, but very Zionist all the same.
Yeah.
So not really a surprise.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it definitely, it was quite a shock for me to find out about the history of Purim, and that was quite recently as well, that I kind of dove into that.
Mm-hmm. And Purim is also supposed to be a very destructive and violent time as well. And what's going on now? Synced up with synced up with the blood moon, because Purim ends on the day of the blood moon, and it starts March 2nd.
But it doesn't always coincide with the blood moon, right?
I don't know.
No, it does. Yeah, it doesn't always coincide with the blood moon, but when it does coincide with the blood moon, then it's especially symbolic for them,
right?
Because it's basically like, yeah, we're going to vanquish over our enemies, and you know, it also, then they blow the shofar, and you know, I've seen all these people on podcasts who are like blowing the shofar now as well, who it's signaling. We can talk about my vision with the shofar later towards the end, but basically symbolizing that, you know, the Messiah is coming and we're basically defeating our enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go on.
Trump was born on a blood moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I heard that as well.
Let me see, where is that? And of course, his name equals 47. He's the 47th selected president. Greenland turns 47 May 1st. You know, he was the whole deal with Greenland going on. Tariffs are happening right during his presidency. Tariffs equals 47. And all this is synced up with him, of course, because he's the chief in command, right, during this whole fucking World War III kickoff, chosen for this selected role. And so what else did he do? They renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War. That's also tied to 47. The name was historically used from 1789 to 1947.
What name?
Department of War.
Oh. That's what they used to be called?
Mm-hmm. Before it was Department of Defense, then he brought it back and made it Department of War again. The President of Peace has called the Department of Defense Department of War.
They literally used to call it the Department of War. I thought it was just some crazy shit that he decided to do.
No. They do this stuff in circles. They bring this shit back around. They repeat history. They do the same rituals over and over.
Wow.
There's nothing new under the sun, right?
This is why I need you on my podcast. There's so much I don't know.
Yeah. And so now they're talking about removing the regime in Iran, and that regime has been in power for 47 years in Iran.
Yeah, and they probably put them in the first place.
Exactly, because they're Zionist controlled too. All the United Nations are. That's why nobody stepped in to help Palestine. We all just sat back and watched them get fucking slaughtered like little children on a playground.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Like, if Iran was really not controlled opposition, they would have stepped in right then and there, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're funding Hezbollah and Hamas, but they would have been a little bit more. They would have gone in for real, especially if they were nuclear power. Both Iran and Pakistan are nuclear powers, right? But neither of them stepped in to help Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, now North Korea is happily, voluntarily bragging that they could just step in and help Iran and shoot one missile and level Israel. Like, really? Where were you all along, bro?
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, it's like, why would Iran wait this long to do anything? Because America literally said, General Wesley Clark went on Democracy Now! Back in 2007 and literally told them the whole fucking memo and everything that they were going to do. They disclosed that they were going to take out 7 Middle Eastern countries in span of like 5 years or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Finishing off Iran.
Yeah, we actually we talked about that in episode 11. So I will actually get the clip from that podcast where we listed all the countries and their plan, and I'll clip it here so you guys can see that again.
Oh, we didn't find any weapons of mass destruction there either.
Yeah. So people might be wondering, why are they going after Iran? What's your take on that?
I mean, they disclosed it. There was a military general before 9/11 even happened. Let me look up his name real quick.
I might have his name if it's the one that I'm thinking of.
General Wesley Clark.
Yeah.
Retired 4-star U.S. Army general, supreme allied commander of NATO, bravely exposed the military plan. He said clearly, we are going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq, then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran, after being shown a memo by the Pentagon. And this was, long before 9/11 even happened.
Yeah.
It's just the satanic plan to slaughter millions of people, displace populations, and create poverty, and usher in the new one world order.
But yeah, continue, baby.
Yeah, starting with Iraq, then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran. Those were his words verbatim, disclosing classified memos about the U.S.'s plans. So it was clearly laid out. We've all known this since then, and Iran's anyway. And then now, what's happening now? So this attack on Iran happens 75 days from Israel's upcoming birthday, because like you said, 7 countries in 5 years is a big 75 ritual. New World Order equals 75. This is what they're ushering in with all this. It's all planned. The planned demolition. What's it? The Gog and Magog war, about how all the world is going to turn against Israel and wipe them off the map, and then somehow, or no, they're going to try and wipe them off the map. Sorry, and then Israel is allegedly going to nuke all the other countries, like Washington, and hit major places in America like Washington D.C., New York, Los Angeles. It's like, really, our greatest allies, right?
Yeah. This is the key. This is the key that you guys need to understand, because if you don't get why they're being so brazen and why they're being so openly evil, it's because it's part of their plan to get everybody to turn against us, or to turn against them, so that they can initiate the Samson option, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is basically where their back is against the wall, their existence is threatened, and so they can basically, the Samson option is where they basically nuke the whole world and kill everyone, basically, or most of the people. Yeah, a lot of the people, and it kind of aligns with the Georgia Guidestones, where they wanted to kind of keep the world population under, what was it, 500 million?
500 million.
Yeah, which is obviously means most people would be killed if they wanted to. Well, they are trying to do that, and they have been trying to do that.
Right, and they say that in their Jewish holy book too, the Talmud. It says most of these people are worshiping false idols, and so they don't deserve to live. They're goyim. They're to be treated like cattle. And in the end times, after they orchestrate the Samson option, they're going to have each Jew will have 2,800 slaves of goyim cattle. Yeah. Everybody who's not Jewish. That's right there. They lay it all out in our face, and that's what this topic is about too. Our podcast today was Revelation of the Method, and why they're doing this and how they're mocking everybody. And it's just satanic rituals. And
we will do that part. We will do we'll do that separately, because I want to interview Dom about Revelation of the Method, which is, it's such a good subject, and he's helped me get so much clarity on this and helped me realize that so many of the people that I thought were trustworthy in the movement are not. Yeah, so
yeah, so let's continue with the 75 rituals, I guess. So yeah, Israel and the U.S. attack Iran 75 days from Israel's upcoming birthday, and the whole Israel-Hamas war, genocide, began when Israel was 75 years old. And on a 75-date numerology, this headline I'm going to read to you here came out on October 6, 1940, exactly 33 years to the day of the Yom Kippur War. And
October 6th.
What's that? Mm-hmm.
October 6th. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then, its anniversary was one day before the October 7th PSYOP, false flag attack, which they claim is Israel's 9/11, right?
Right, yeah.
That's what they're referring it to. And these are all in 19-year cycles, too. I'll get to that in a second. But, October 7th was also the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan after 9/11. Let me read this headline to you, though. So here's the New York Times headline. New World Order pledges to Jews. Arthur Greenwood, a British war cabinet, sends message of assurance. Here, writing of wrongs seen, English rabbi delivers to Dr. S.S. Wise new statement on question after war. It's like, yeah, they literally pledged the New World Order to the Jews in a New York Times headline. But just right in your face. Most people don't understand what they're talking about, or just take it as like satire or something. I don't know. Just not paying attention. Department of War also got renamed on September 5th, aka 5/9, because most of the world writes day then month first.
Yeah.
And we went to war with Iran on the 59th day of the year. So they're all syncing this up with that.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, so that was a lot of 75s there.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose of them choosing these auspicious dates? Is it to let people who are in the know who's doing it? To basically, is it part of the whole revelation of the method revealing their actions in kind of to initiated people, or is there a spiritual significance? Like, basically, is it ritualistic? Like, is there some kind of like black magic going on that they have to do things on certain astrological dates or numerological dates?
Yeah, very good question. So a lot of the Church of Satan is operating off of like Anton LaVey's teachings and stuff, and as we know, Satanists aren't religious at all. They're basically like atheists, except they worship their own false deities that they made up, like Baal, Moloch, and Baphomet, and all this shit.
So Baal, Moloch, Baphomet, they're not. You don't believe that they're real entities?
No, I think it's a collective energy or a group of spirits that they, from evil people over time who are all in on this little
like
fucking
an
cult.
egregore. Yeah.
What's that?
Like an egregore. Yeah.
What's that again?
Egregore. It's kind of like almost like a hive mind of like demonic spirits. But I have to say, when I've been in the field, I haven't encountered any of those particular entities. I've encountered lots of entities that look like they could be, like they look like how those entities are depicted. But they generally, I don't know if they have names or not, because I generally don't really talk to them that much. I don't ask them their names. But we do sometimes ask them what they're doing I ask them what they're doing in my client's field. We can see the effect that they're having on the field, what their purpose is, and then we give them an opportunity to go back to God. A lot of them do take that opportunity actually to kind of correct their wrongs and actually go back to source, or to continue living the parasitic life that they're living. But yeah, it's entirely possible that the entities do exist, or that they could be, some kind of like fallen being, fallen angelic, or some dead person that's just become so hideous you know, from being evil and manipulating people in this realm. Or that they just worship themselves. I have heard that a lot of the dark occultists, they obviously believe in outer realms and spirits and universal law and things like that, but they don't believe that there's a prime creator. So they essentially, or they think that they are prime creator, that their ego-based self. I think that's where a lot of it comes down to, especially with Kabbalah, when I was researching it, that a lot of the initiates into Kabbalah, which is essentially like a type of Jewish mysticism or magic, like it's a magical system. They essentially, I believe that they believe that they are God, that God, Satan, you are all the same consciousness. And it gets really fucking weird and psychotic when you start believing stuff like that. Yeah, I think it can cause it, because I've had my experience with kind of law of assumption and some of that Hermetic philosophy, and it can make you a little bit delusional about reality. But yeah, carry on with what you were saying.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I just want to highlight too and commend you for like the work that you do. It's really powerful and so beautiful, and it really just made me start tearing up there just thinking about how powerful and amazing it is and how loving it is what you do, because like you said, you can see some of these really dark evil spirits that are attached to people still messing with people and still encouraging people to hurt themselves and other people and stuff. And like you said, when you pray for them and like try to show them that there's a better way and that they can turn to God and that they don't have to keep doing this, they don't have to be miserable and suffering and just cause more misery and suffering. And some of them, like you said, actually do, and that's incredible. Like, you're a living angel, literally. It's just, thanks, I love you so much. I respect you so much.
I love you too, baby.
It's like to look at the darkest people and then still have compassion and empathy and want to help them. It's just,
yeah. Well, I mean, thank you, baby. That's really meaningful to receive from you. But yeah, it's not me doing it. Like, obviously Yeshua comes into the field, Ishur comes into the field to help with the entity removal. So he opens up the source column, and then it's, obviously their relationship with Creator. So we just, and there's like, what other option is there? Like, either they continue or they go back to God, and then some of them continue until they eventually just dissipate and get recycled. And that's obviously a horrendous fate, but for some of them it is actually easier to take that path than to face all the evil things that they've done. So some of them do choose not to go back to source. But yeah, thanks for sharing that, baby. I love you.
You're so humble. Like, don't downplay it either, because like, take some credit for what you do, because like without your connection, you're the intermediate, the catalyst that shows them like the door, that there's another possibility, there's another way. And so like, sure, you call in these higher angels and stuff to help you, but like, you're the helper in between. It's just,
thanks, baby.
Amazing. But like you touched on too, like these people, they're godless. They don't believe in a supreme God. They don't believe in divine justice. They don't believe in right and wrong. Their satanic motto is like, do what thou will, right? Because like, there's no rules. Like they're playing God. That's what they think they're doing, because if there is no God to them, then they think they have to play God and step up to the plate and do whatever they think is necessary. And it's really weird too, because like, so as dark and evil as these people are, in some sick, twisted sense of mental illness, they think what they're doing is necessary. They think we are all stupid beneath them, less intelligent, and need to be controlled and need to be maintained and governed over, and God knows what else. But so in their untwisted mind, they think they're doing what's right.
Can we just take a moment to just clarify for the viewers, because I feel like there will be some new people on this episode, the different factions that we're talking about, like, the different, groups that we're talking about. Okay, like, if you can outline, obviously you've got the exoteric, Christian Zionists, Jewish Zionists, but then we've got the deeper kind of occult secret societies going on, like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, Sabbatean Frankists, and things like that. Who's at the head of it all?
So there's a saying, all roads lead to Rome, right? And I believe it's the Vatican at the very top pulling the strings. And there was something a while back called the Protestant Reformation, where like it was the merger of the Jews and the Catholics, and now we see there become some superpower that's teaming up against like the newer Abrahamic faith of Islam, and it's just holy wars, right? And they've literally orchestrated and infiltrated every religion, if not made all of them up completely themselves, I believe, and just wrote all of our history for us. And now we're all just playing stupid kids, reading their stupid books and following stupid rules that have nothing to do with God and the supreme creator of us all. And that's why it all, when you look at it, sounds very demonic and disgusting. Like, oh, we're going to church and Christian church and Roman Catholic churches and like drinking and eating the blood of someone that the Jews and them murdered and stuff is like our savior who was like sent to be sacrificed.
Yeah. Well, it's the Romans. It was the Roman Empire that killed him as well, in addition. And then they rewrite his teachings and serve up Christianity. So Christianity is basically like a creation of the Roman Empire, not the original teachings of Jesus. But yeah, it's interesting because obviously you've had a slightly different perspective from one that I've had for many years, because I thought it was sort of ancient ETs that were doing this, that had, that had like lived for thousands of years, that were able to rewrite these history books to right up until this moment and still be alive and benefit from the plan, because obviously their lifetime is much more than ours. But you don't believe that, right?
To an extent, like I don't believe in aliens per se, as they're like little green people, aliens from like another dimension, and they look like the typical big-eyed, big-headed, whatever it is, and like flying around in spaceships and stuff. I don't think it's that, but I think there is some truth to it in the sense that like, space is fake. Everything NASA's telling us is a complete lie. You can't penetrate the firmament. That's what they're trying. That's why all the rockets hit the dome and just like skirt off of it and make waves like a boat going through water, because the firmament is like some kind of pressurized gas basically solidifying and turning into like some kind of liquid, and the firmament is something impenetrable, set there intentionally, beautifully and intelligently designed purposefully by God to separate the waters from above from the waters from below, as it says. And I don't know exactly what that is, but NASA has admitted themselves that they can't go beyond low Earth orbit, which is a disclosure to the layman of like, well, actually not above the layman's understanding, where it's like, well, the moon is beyond low Earth orbit, so they just disclosed we've never actually gone to the moon.
Yeah, and right.
That's all a joke, and then they. When you look into that, it's just such a joke, like bubbles in space coming out of their helmets because they're filming in an underwater pool, and just they never have cameras pointing up on the rockets going into space. It's always pointing down, and then they just go do a parabolic curve and land it probably in the Bermuda Triangle area, which is a defended Navy and airspace over there, so that you can't go there and watch where the rockets land, out of sight, out of mind. People think it's going into space, and anyway, such a joke. And just stealing all our tax money. All the NASA astronauts are Freemasons in the club, Jesuits, Zionists, lying to us, because in their holy book again says that they can legally lie to us to protect themselves.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, now would be a good time for me to share with you. It's not a secret that Dom is a flat earther. And for those of you who've been with me for a long time know that I have not been into flat earth, and I've even previously made fun of people who are into flat earth. But since Dom and I got together, I thought it was maybe time that I do my due diligence and maybe look into it a little bit. And since I have started looking into it, I'm not fully there yet, but there are questions. And some of the things that Dom has showed me has kind of made me go, that actually I do need to really, I mean, I still have a lot of questions. It would be good to actually have you and some of your people in the flat earth space who are obviously really, really well researched and have even gone to Antarctica to do missions to get you guys on the podcast, because we need to figure this out. Because even I spent a lot of time, if you guys have been with me for a while, you know that, I was kind of associating with a lot of people in the ET disclosure kind of side of the truth community. And my mentor is in ET contact. And what I will say about Emily and all the, ET healing technologies that she's taught us in, like Arcturian technologies, Pleiadian technologies, things like that, all these beings, Arcturians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Andromedans, that supposedly come from different star systems, they are all interdimensional. Like, none of them are physical. Like, even my hairdresser, who's in ET contact, who I've spoken about on this podcast before, he's never encountered ETs just like walking in his room or like having a cup of tea. He can't touch them. Like, he communicates with them in the field. Like, I've been to his channelings. He'll go into a state of meditation, then start channeling them, which I don't recommend you do. I think it's quite kind of an unsafe practice. But they're not physical beings. So it's entirely possible that they're just spirits, and I have spoken about this before. So that's just where I'm at with kind of the flat earth stuff. And you and I still have a great relationship, even if we're not entirely agree on everything, or like I'm not there yet. And I'm taking my time to do the research. Obviously there's so many things to research at the moment, so I'm just being patient with it. But I just wanted to let you guys, update you on where I'm at kind of spiritually and with what I believe. But continue, babe.
Yeah, we definitely need to do like a whole episode on Gematria. And I got, if you interview someone like Nathan Thompson, oh my God.
Yeah, so I'd be down to have Nathan on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So NASA, for example, real quick, in Hebrew means what?
I don't know.
To deceive.
To receive?
To deceive.
Oh, no way. Really?
Literally means to deceive.
In Paleo Hebrew or the modern day Hebrew? You're not sure?
I gotta double check that.
Right, yeah.
NASA's logo has a forked snake tongue coming through it, and biblically speaking, that snake represents liars and deceivers. I was gonna mention my Flat Earth song about NASA lying. Depicts that, it shows the full snake. Maybe we could just put the picture up there, but I don't know if you guys see it, but
I do really like that song. It's really catchy.
And I used their famous marble photo. I made it myself, so it's not copyrighted, of course. But anyways, I had to redraw it. But I got in. They did one of the very first sex. Yeah, they literally felt sex in the clouds because they're freaking perverts, That's just what they do.
Is that the original globe that you've used in that image, or did you enhance
I just repainted it, but there is a literal blue marble photo from NASA themselves that they copy. You can see there's just repetitive clouds that they copy and pasted in Photoshop. And even the guy who does all the blue marble photos that you see on your iPhone screensaver, that beautiful picture of where we live, he literally admits it's Photoshopped.
Yeah.
He says, but it has to be, because it's a bunch of images put together from space, and then he paints in how he thinks it would look, because he's never been to space, but he's the guy making it.
Yeah.
And oh man, again, this goes back to atheism, right? Because these Satanists, these Luciferians, the Freemasons, they're all godless people, and so heliocentrism equals 201 in Gematria. What else equals 201 in Gematria? Jewish mysticism, the Jesuit order, the Holy Bible, the State of Israel, Order of Illuminati, World Trade Towers. All these words equal 201. Wow. So the first man in space, Neil Alden Armstrong, 201, Freemason. Where's the Freemason rings? All of them do. They all lie. None of them would swear on the Bible that they went into space. There's a great documentary out there called Astronauts Gone Wild. Got to find it. It's a great laugh. Some of the astronauts kick the interviewers, literally assault them. And one of them makes a threat. Do you want to have him whacked? Do you want to have this guy whacked? Call up the CIA and we'll get him whacked for coming in here and asking us to swear on the Bible that we went to the moon.
Yeah.
Really? You get that? It gives me chills. You get that defensive over a simple, just Be honest. Did you go?
Okay, so people are going to have questions, especially if they're not familiar with flat Earth. If the Earth is a plane, what is the moon and what is the sun? Because this is also why I was very resistant to even looking into this, because obviously with eclipses, you've got the moon, which is eclipsing the sun, and it's exactly the right. This is what made me think that the moon had been put there by ETs.
Yeah.
Because the moon is exactly the right size that it needs to be to eclipse the sun completely, in terms of like its size and with the perspective, and then also to be exactly the right size to be eclipsed by the shadow of the Earth. So how does that work on? Obviously, people can look this up, but if you explain it briefly, and then maybe if you have some resources, we can link them also in the description that explains eclipses on a flat plane.
If you follow me on Facebook, my Facebook account is Saiyan Dom, Saiyan, like Saiyan from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Just a little alias name.
We'll put a link.
Dom, Saiyan Dom, DOM as in Mary, just short for Dominic. Anyway, I have a great photo album on there with all my flat Earth memes exposing NASA. Check it out. But I'll read some of them to you here. So, for example, like I said, these are satanic people. They believe in a godless universe that came from a big bang of nothing for no rhyme or reason, which again gives them this belief, lets them think like we have to maintain some order ourselves. We have to play God. We have to control you. We have to tell you what to do and everything, because all this happened for no rhyme or reason. And that's just a big ball. They tell you it's a big ball of sun 93 million miles away. And it's just a big ball of gas and fire and whatever, right? And we can debunk that easily. We have such high-powered cameras now. You can put a solar filter lens on the camera, zoom in. It's no fire. It's just a light. It's a celestial, beautifully, intelligently, purposefully created, God-created light. It's a luminary, like the moon and the sun, and they're both the same exact size. And they're just beautiful designs, right? Like, what does the sun do? We're photosynthetic. It grows the plants. It grows our food. It provides us warmth and physical nourishment and sustenance and life, right? Without the sun, we die. Like, can't live underground. And the moon, it's a cool nightlight, right? And it's also, these are synced up to the natural calendars of our world. Like, before we were given the Jesuits, the Vatican's English language and their stupid false Gregorian calendar that only has 12 months instead of the perfectly synced up 13 months which would give you the same amount of days every month. There would be no confusion, no leap years, no all this bullshit. And that's how they operate. They know this truth. They follow the moon cycles. That's why they do their satanic rituals every 19 years with these synced up with the moon cycles, because this is powerful. And like, it kind of ties into the question earlier, why are they doing this? What's the purpose of these numbers and stuff? It's intention and it's focus. And where your focus and energy goes, that's kind of the laws of the universe. Like, if you get all this attention and focus on something, you help manifest it. Like, we're here to create our reality. This is was supposed to be a beautiful world for us to create and live abundantly and harmoniously with everything and take care of this place and just live, love, and enjoy life. But no, we got a few satanic pedophiles who are messed up in the head thinking they're God, playing God, killing and controlling us all, giving us a bullshit language. But yeah, they're celestial luminaries and they're literally calendars. Like, you can tell what time of day it is with the sun. You could tell what day of the week it is by the moon. You could tell what year, all these things. If you focus on, like, our ancestors knew all this stuff. It's a giant celestial calendar.
Wow.
You don't need a smartphone to tell you what day and time it is. Look up, look at the sky. What else are they doing? Chemtrailing the sky, blocking out the sun, reducing your vitamin D that you get, causing sickness and suffering. But yeah, they're beautifully intelligent, purposely designed things. But what does NASA tell us? Let's look at their science, right? So they tell us that the sun's radius is 6 times 6 times 6 times 2,000. Oh, what a coincidental number. Where have I heard 666 before, right? That's kind of associated with Satanism, right? How far is the sun away from us? Well, they tell us it's 6 times 6 times 6 times the radius. Really? That's a weird coincidence. Are you sure about that? So what about the moon? Well, how big is the moon? Well, they tell us the radius is 6 times 6 times 6 times 5. Really? Whoa. Okay, how far is the moon from us? 6 times 6 times 6 times the radius. Really? Oh, wow. That kind of sounds like Satanism and Lucifer's balls, right?
Yeah. Wait. I just wanted to before you. Yeah. So I guys, I know that this can be a lot. Okay, because I'm just trying to locate the audience, because this was kind of like an ET audience before this. But I was like the biggest person that made fun of flat earthers. Okay, if you go back and look at some of my previous videos, I would literally take the piss. But
everybody does. I did too. Until you look into it.
You did.
Everyone who becomes a flat earther, and I want to explain what that is later, but in a second. But everyone who looks into flat earth laughs at it at first. Obviously, like, really, what? This guy, that's just a conspiracy. You're crazy. Like, the whole world would have to be on it. They wouldn't teach us lies since we were in kindergarten. Like,
right.
Come on. I saw it in textbooks. We saw it in black and white on TV. They went to the moon and they jumped around and they played golf and they planted a flag and they fell and got up really quick somehow with a bungee attached. Anyway, but yeah, it's like, we all think it's a joke, and then we look into it and we're like, I'm going to debunk this. That's how I go into subjects. I'm like, when I hear something ridiculous, I listen to it with an open mind.
Yeah.
And then I don't accept everything, and then I try and investigate it. And these are things you can investigate for yourself. Like, so I'm like, I'm going to debunk this. It's got to be so easy to debunk. Like, how could they possibly hide the fact that there's no curvature of the earth? And you look at it, it's like, you can't prove the curvature of the earth. 8 inches per mile squared, that's their formula for curvature. So every mile, there should be 8 inches of curvature dropping. So that would explain the horizon, right? And the boat's going over some supposed curve. Mm-hmm. But then when you get a high-powered zoom camera, you zoom in on said boat that just disappeared over the curvature on the horizon, and you see the boat. You see the full boat. How is that possible? Oh, because it's the vanishing point, perspective. You know, your eyes can only see so far, and there's a convergence. Like, if you look down a long hallway, the same thing, it'll just converge. If you put your eyes at the ground level of a football field, it'll look like it's curving. There's no curvature, though. And no engineers, no surveyors, no highway bridge building people ever compensate for Earth's alleged 8 inches per mile squared. So a lot of people in the industry of like architecture and land surveying and bridge building and things like this, construction, wake up to this fact when they realize, like, how are we building this like 10, 20 mile bridge and we're not compensating for a single bit of curvature? How come all these Air Force pilots don't ever have to nose the plane down to compensate for the constant curvature of the earth if they're flying over? They don't. Their instruments on board say they're always flying level and parallel to the flat horizon, the flat plane of existence known as Earth. And in the Bible, there's so many references to this, that the earth is flat, immovable. The celestial stars rotate above us, the firmament, everything. And then and every pilot I've ever asked told me the straight answer. They're like, yeah, there's no curvature. We don't compensate for curvature. Just start asking your pilots. People go on flights, look out the window. There's no curvature. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson debunked himself. He's NASA's leading astronomer and says you have to go. He's like, you can't see curvature at certain heights and stuff. But yet NASA's releasing stuff that says there is curvature at that height, like Felix Baumgartner, whatever, the Red Bull jump guy. He had curvature out that thing, right? And even Neil deGrasse Tyson says you actually can't see curvature at that height, so they lied to you there. And they're just lying about everything. So you just look into it. And so just try and prove curvature yourself. You can't do it. There's just laws of the universe, like water always finding its level. The second law of thermodynamics says you can't have gas pressure without a container. So how is space an infinite vacuum if you have no container? How are you thrusting off anything if it's a continuous vacuum? How do you get past the Van Allen radiation belts, which are like these radiation belts that if you go through them, you will die from the radiation. It'll literally cook you. It'll fry you, burn you from the inside out. And NASA says, oh, we didn't know about that the first time we went. We just made it. We just made it to the moon somehow, and we were unaffected. But now we're building to compensate for that. Yeah, okay.